some seeking. Through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrate in song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caracom.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socio-economic issues, or any topical issue of the day. And you could introduce your own topic. And definitely a lot is going on in the world at this time. We have the war going on in Ukraine and Russia. And I don't agree with Russia. Ukraine is an independent, sovereign country. In addition to that, you had the Budapest Memorandum when a number of countries signed because of nuclear proliferation, and Russia gave the assurance that it would not invade Ukraine. You had the United States, you had Belarus, you had Kazakhstan, you had Britain and Russia signing the agreement. So Russia, I think sometimes these expansionist attitudes in these leaders need to be condemned by all and sundry. Even we in the Caribbean here and in Grenada, that we cannot do anything. We cannot do anything to influence the action of these people. Although the government of Trinidad and Tobago is calling on the citizens not to get involved. Some of them want to go and fight. Quite in Trinidad, they want to go and fight in the war in Ukraine. A lot of people in this world today is in a fighting mood. And that's why there's a high possibility that the war could escalate into more countries involving, and even the remote possibility of a world war. But the war definitely would affect Grenada. We import a significant quantity of the things we consume. Oil price would rise significantly in Grenada. In addition to that, grain. Russia and Ukraine produce a significant quantity of the world grain. And Russia is one of the biggest suppliers of oil to Europe, oil and natural gas. Canada could substitute, but Canada has not been harvesting the amount of gas and oil that they could. And Russia and Europe, to a large extent, depend on Russia for almost 30 to 40% of the oil. But we in Grenada, sometimes they say there is nothing as innocent bystanders. Innocent bystanders. We could always be affected based upon the increase in the price of things we import. When oil and gas is increased, it affects almost everything. So the Pope has called on us to pray. That's what we could do. We could pray. And a good thing about it, you could pray for people whether they want you to pray or not, You could still pray for them. And prayer is good. And during the Lenten season, there is 3 significant principles of Lent: to pray, to fast, and to give alms. They say when you pray, you're showing your love for God. When you fast, you're showing your love for yourself. And when you give alms, you're showing your love for others. And then you become a good Christian. And I want to encourage parents to show love for the children. We have a lot of parents in Grenada. I'm not convinced that they show love for the children. If you're showing love for your children, you must prepare your children for the battlefield. Prepare them for life. So perhaps it's a good thing if you teach your children, particularly from the age of 5. Teach them the names of the villages in the parish. We're asking you to do big things, People don't ask you to do big things, little things. Teach your children the names of the village in the parish. That alone is a significant thing. Imagine your 5-year-old know the names of the village in St. Patrick's. Riversalia alone is a challenge. If you have 5-year-old children or 8 or 10 years old, even big people don't know the names of the villages in the parish. Teach your children that. So you help to encourage your children to have a great vocabulary at a very young age. And they might develop a sense of pride in their own community. And they wouldn't run down the country. We have a lot of people on radio running down the country. They're blasting the country mercilessly. So we could start there. We have to ingrain in the culture of our people love for our country. As I said before, when you turn big, you reach 18 years, you don't want to love parents. But it's an important thing to love your country. Because you wouldn't find a next one. So you be patriotic and help your country develop. And small countries like Grenada that depend significantly on tourism and remuneration from our people outside of Grenada, image is an important thing. So don't go around tearing down your country's image for nothing. If you do, it would affect your children. That is why we have so much of Grenadians left Grenada and go away. One friend of mine said when his brother was going away, the parents make up money and give him, A couple of years after, they write him and tell him land selling. He said, if he see Grenada in a bread, he don't eat in it. And the parents was poor. And they thought, well, this son that go away is the answer. So the land selling in the estate, everybody buying, the parents can buy. They send to the son. And they collect all the little money and give him, to go away. He said, if he see Grenada in a bread, he not in it. About 20 years, he come back in bracelet. The police bring him back in bracelet. And all the members of the family was in a better position, and he had to go back and live by the mother. And this is a cultural thing. People tend to run down the country. When you hear people speak about the roads in Grenada, some of them taking out some potholes and they putting it on the internet. And I constantly ask people to do the research. Find out if we have bad roads in America, bad roads in England and Canada. It makes no sense that people giving you the impression that only in Grenada we have bad roads. We have bad roads in these big countries too. So it's important that we ask questions. When you hear people making general blanket statements, ask them questions. Some people say Grenada has not improved for years now. This one is so laughable. Ask them questions. The medical health system in Grenada doing good. Ask them, what do you want to see improve in the health system? Because we make quite a lot of blanket statements. And the number to call is 442-0175. Pick up the telephone and give me a call and let us speak on any subject matter. This is a period of time that is ripe for politics. It seems everybody ready for the date for election more than the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, that is his decision. A couple of years ago, attempt was made to put a fixed date for election, And the majority of Grenadians say no. Let the Prime Minister call election when he wants. So that is his prerogative. But it seems as though the NDC ready, the NNP members ready, and they're waiting on the Prime Minister to call the date. The Prime Minister perhaps don't ready yet. He must be asking where the busy so. Well, it takes a lot of maturity after a number of years. What would arouse younger people wouldn't make a dent on the older ones because they have something called experience. The Bible says young men dream dreams, but old men see the vision. So however we in an election season, and that wouldn't go away. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Yes, my caller.
Hello?
Yes, man. Go right ahead.
Ponting. I heard you.
What you have in the background making noise there? What you have in the back?
You see,
Right.
improve a lot. A lot of good things is going for this country. This is why I want to tell the people of this nation, this time around, I'm not saying we must have one man rule, but this is the easiest election for people to make a decision. It's the first time in my history I've been the youngest member of the Grenadian Labour Party, the first young man in Mounted to make a political speech on the 28th of February 1967. So I raised me and he said, "You will be my political son." And I'm telling you, I watched many elections. And you see this one? It's an easy decision. You know why? The government perform. It's an easy. We have experienced leadership. We have a government that listens to the cry of the people, to the cry of the young people, to the cry of the old people, to the cry of the baby. This government listens and always get back in cabinet and put things in place to rectify whatever problem. This is what we need in this country, a government that listens to the people, and we have that. So we have no other choice but to leave the new National Party in office because they have what it takes to govern. They have the experience. So it doesn't make sense people hot in the head. That's my suggestion. Who have eyes to see, let them see. Who are ears to hear, let them hear. I thank you, sir.
Yes, my brother. Brother says it's a very easy election for people to make up their mind what to do. In election in Grenada, it is not whether the government work alone. There's something called the politics too. Some people forget the politics, and politics is an important factor. Sometimes a government could perform, but the ministers become very complacent. The ministers and the political activists become very complacent. And they believe their performance alone must speak for themselves. That is not so. If you remember the days when Winston White lose election by 1 vote, they say friends go and fish. And they decide when they come back, they're going to go and vote. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome. Punch.
Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
Mr. Pierre, let's try to do some remembrance. In 2008, 2013, where you had a government that always shot $18 million out there every month. Right? Like if we were doing a business and it's like you collect, you expenditure more than what you're collecting. Right? And that's what is happening. And this has already been a raise. 80 million short of what is supposed to collect. Right? And then we look at the situation now. If any sales government where they were always in a deficit. And you have where they could not end up get medication, right, for the hospital. And even the bad name that they give the country, and even some countries in the Caribbean, they also get bad name because of what NDC did. Because with no medication, and you shall pay. Like you say, when one country feel the pain, other Caribbean country feel the pain. Because I remember they say one of the Minister of Agriculture, he couldn't go to a city meeting because Grenada was in arrest in paying what is paying him what they should be paying, right? Because of the bad management of NDC at the time. I have seen the Grenada people. We must never forget. Remember what we go through in 2008, 2013. And income now, this government, where people are always getting their salary on time. We look at the amount of achievement again, the youth, the seniors, everybody feeling happy of what the government is doing. A government that has a track record. When you look at Sunday God and the lighting up of the Lassiges pasture, right? I go stand and see and testify. The minister, the parliamentarian of this government, they continue to deliver and deliver for each and every group of people in the country. So this is why when you elect a government, is to reach out and to bring development. But not one group of people, but for all the people going to compete in my day. Right.
I thank you, caller. Thank you. The number to call is 4420175. And remember, we're on Facebook, Real FM Facebook page, Francis Pierre Facebook page, and we are on other radio stations in Grenada. And we have another caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you today?
I'm fine, Brother Pierre.
All right. Go ahead.
Fine. Good. Brother Pierre, I just call you to give you some history. And what history I'm telling you, that is what I know. It's not this, it's them, see, and what it is. Let me start in the parish. Well, I did St. David, right? King David. Well, we have Uncle Gary. Uncle Gary do what he could do.
Cynthia Gary was from St. David's too?
Yes,
Okay.
from St. David.
You have any idea what was her age when she got married?
Well, when Cynthia Gary get married, she was at the age of 30-something years.
30-something years?
Yes, because I have 74 years now, and she was about 10 years older than me.
Okay.
When she get married.
So now she about 84?
Yes, about
Okay.
that.
All right.
It's about that. I could tell you, because I was a strong, we're telling you strong. And it's strong, Gary, right, you know, man? And Uncle Gary was a...
And you ever heard the story that they say Gary, they choose Cynthia Gary for him?
No, I don't say that.
Okay.
But I hear the talk, but I won't say that.
They say that he say he want a wife to marry. And they introduce him to Cynthia Gary. Because they say she was a well-behaved girl and intelligent in St. David's.
Yes, and she was
And
bright.
since
and
Gary decided...
brighter than Gary too?
Yeah, so she was older than him?
I don't think so. I don't
Because
think
Gary
so.
came into politics in his 20s.
Yes, in his 20s.
Okay.
In his 20s, he come in politics.
And he was married.
Yes.
Okay.
Married to Cynthia Gary.
It's an important thing, you know. When politicians, when young people decide to go in politics, you must know that they're responsible.
Yes.
And if they're afraid to keep a family, if they're afraid to shack up with a woman, if they're afraid to maintain a family, they might afraid when they go in politics too.
Uncle Gary was a nice, fair, nice, respectable fella, and he had a nice, respectable wife.
Okay.
And so he he adopt a wonderful and respectable son. What? Hit me tell you now.
Well, I think kids
People
study the
used to
politics.
say, Gary is Kit Mitchell's son, but Gary wasn't Kit Mitchell.
No, it's political
But
son.
other.
Political. Some people say, well, because you're young and you're political, son.
And that Uncle Gary take the Honorable Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell at the age of 26 years. I know, I could tell you.
Gary was 26 years when he entered politics.
And Keith.
Keith was a bit older. Remember, Keith run for election with opposing one, I think it was Gary himself, he opposed Prudhomme, Hostin, the Minister of Finance.
Yes.
And then he left and go and study, and he came back in
Uncle
19...
Gary that make him go and study.
Well, yes, he does. Well, any good leader encourages. That's what
Uncle
people...
Gary sent him to school. He said,
Yeah.
"Why you can't come in politics now?
That is
You have to
why...
go back to school."
Yeah, we as adults, we always have to encourage young people
That's
to
right.
do better,
Yes.
to educate yourself.
Yes.
Every leader is supposed to do that.
Yes.
Yeah?
It was.
So that is great this morning. Yeah.
And then it was wonderful when he come back in politics, and he used to see about he had some kind of leader in some kind of group. Can't remember the name of the group now.
There was in GDM. I think it was involved in GDM and NNP, and you're talking about after 1983?
Yes, after 1983.
Yes, because 1983 brought new hope for the democratic process in Grenada.
Yes.
Because we moved from the revolution where you couldn't have
That's
election, and they brought new hope back.
That's right.
And that is good. We must cherish the power of the democratic process to choose the government we want.
And then, when Uncle Gay, when they think come out in paper to form their own party, the NMP, the Honorable Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell from the NMP.
Well, Dr. Keith Mitchell is, without a doubt, definitely one of the most successful leaders in the Commonwealth.
That's right.
That is a truism. Nobody is challenging that.
No, nobody.
He has won election repeatedly,
yes,
and he has to be considered as one of the most successful political figure in the Commonwealth.
That's right.
And that is good for Grenada.
And what again? Then you see Uncle Gary now, kids from the new National Party, and Brizan from the NDC. Brizan from the NDC.
NNP, the NDP. Brizan was NDP, we had the GDM, and then all of them join up and form NNP. Mr. Blaze was GNP, we had the NDP, we had the GDM, and we had Winston White with CDLP.
Yes.
But when they went to, they encouraged them to work together. Too much division.
Too much division.
And which was the correct thing. You just had a revolution. You want people to work together.
That's right.
So then they formed the NNP. And it was led by Mr. Blaze. But after 4 years, that collapsed. And Dr. Keith Mitchell was elected as the leader of the NNP. So thank you very much, and it's good for a little history.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
God
very
bless
much.
you and
Yes.
love you, darling.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. Yeah. Yes, you see, we must know the history. You know. So when you want to get involved in politics, you have to have discussion with the older ones. Not everything is written. You have the traditions. You see, some things is written, some is not. Even in Christianity, some people say it's solo scriptura, the Bible and the Bible alone. But some religions say no, the magisterium and the traditional fathers is important because the Bible was put together about 300 years after Christ. So they say it can't be the Bible and the Bible alone. There are the traditions. Some people like to silence the older folks, but we have to have a way of having discussion. Maybe we don't have enough forum to provide a voice for the older people in our community, the elders, to share their experience with us. Because they would have already made the mistakes that we are making now. When the Rastafarians started and they go back in the woods, a lot of old people didn't agree with that. He said, we come from there. We have schools now. We want you to go to school and get educated. But the Rastafarian movement say it is concrete jungle and false education. It's the same thing that Boko Haram in Nigeria and other countries doing now, saying Western education is bad. Our children need to be educated. This is one of the fundamental blunders made by the Rastafarian movement, because they did not educate their children. Today, the children should be the ones helping to make the laws in the country. So they went up in the woods and they did not provide education for the children. Some of the men and women got their young daughters to be married at early age. And some of these kids regretted it. You see? So these experiences have to be shared with the younger ones to guide them. When you have young people entering politics, you hear a lot of ideas from them. Some of them never make a day walk in life. When you hear some people, they are orators, they speak well, and you hear them speak. But what is the history behind them? What is the occupation? What job you did? What business you get involved in? You sit down, all you do, criticizing, and you have the ability to speak well. But that is not enough. An older person going to say, why is this young man not having a job? We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yes, sorry to come back again. Well, I'm giving a full history of St. David this time.
Yeah, but you have to make it short.
Yes, I'm
all right, go ahead. Punch.
History. The first minister we had in St. David's was Mr. Williams.
Jocelyn Whiteman. Yeah. Danny Williams.
Yes. He was the first minister.
And then you take on Jocelyn Whiteman.
Eh?
Then you had Jocelyn Whiteman.
That's right. He passed it on to Jocelyn Whiteman.
And then you had Danny Williams.
Danny Williams was first.
Oh, Danny Williams come first.
And then he passed it on to his brother-in-law.
Jocelyn Whiteman.
That's right.
And who came after Jocelyn Whiteman?
Who came after Jocelyn Whiteman? After Jocelyn Whiteman.
Oliver Joseph.
Devon Roger.
Devon Roger, man.
Yes.
Yes. Devon Roger was a very young person then.
He was very young.
But did he win the election? Did he run for election?
Yes.
He lost his seat and they make him a senator.
That's right.
He became a young senator.
That's right.
He lost to Lett.
Yes.
Right, and he became a senator.
Yes, and Lett, that was for the NDC.
Right.
In Lett.
And then you had Oliver Joseph.
Very good fella in the NDC time.
And
Lett was a very, very, very good. I will give you a pot of Lett.
And then, but let's go. You say you're giving the history, so let's continue.
Yes,
we will talk about Lett next time.
Yes.
After that, after Lett, who came?
After Lett is the
Oliver Joseph.
No, after Lett and the NMP side was Oliver Joseph.
Yes. And on the NDC side.
He walked.
Who was there on the NDC side?
The NDC side was the Calypsonian.
Persuader. Adrian Thomas.
That's right.
Persuader.
And Persuader was a nice fella on the NDC side.
Yes.
I don't know what they give him up for. They should not have given him up.
Well, Oliver, you see, they give him up because they feel Oliver beating him too bad. Remember,
yes,
both of them was in the public service. Both of them was involved in the trade union.
That's right.
And maybe Persuader know how good Oliver was.
That's right.
So what NDC do now is they're experimenting with another person.
Experiment because that experiment won't work.
Well, yes. So now we have the history. Who were there? Who was there in St. David's before Danny Williams?
Well,
that would have been who run for Gary days. That was Cynthia Gary.
Uncle Gary, that was
Cynthia Gary that run in St. David's.
Yes, Gary was in St. David's.
Cynthia Gary.
Cynthia.
Right.
Cynthia was in St. David. But that lady was nice.
She was minister of what? She was minister of?
I don't know.
Minister of Education.
That's right.
She was Minister of Education.
That's right.
So thank you very much. That's important.
You welcome,
Thank you very much.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yes. The young children, for this Lenten period, I think parents have to make some sacrifice and have to give alms. And one of the things you could do is you teach your children the names of the villages in the parish. For instance, if they're in St. David's, teach them the names of the villages. Could you imagine your 5-year-old going to study the names? Some of the names originated from the French, and they have meaning. And that is going to help your child's vocabulary. In Grenada, one of the biggest challenges we have in Grenada is the productivity level in school. Too much of our children are leaving school without meeting the basic requirement. This is a question of low productivity. And parents have to do more. I don't think parents in Grenada is hungry for education. I don't think they're making the sacrifice necessary to ensure their children are educated. And there are simple things you could do. If your child have a good start, it is easier for them to function in school. So if your 5-year-old know the names of the villages in the parish, that is a good thing. Even if they know 50% of it. And it's not hard. Because when they go to school, they have children from different villages in the school. Your spouse might be from a different village. Your relatives might live in different village. It's just a question of paying attention to that. It's just a question of paying attention to it. These little things count. If you're a fisherman, teach your child the name of fish. You know the names of different fish. That is a means to have dialogue and communication in your home. Some people say men hardly have value in the home. You're just there to give money, and sometimes the wife needs you. So now you're showing that you have economic and educational value in the house. So you teach your children, that is your trade, the name of fish in the sea. Because you are a fisherman. And fishermen have beautiful stories. Sometimes you may not be able to write, but your child might be able to write some of your stories that you tell them down. They could fix up the grammar, and that will help them. We need to do more. You plant flowers around the house. Teach your children the names of flowers. It is not big things that we need to do to make our kids have confidence in themselves. And every now and then, teach them the names of the politician. The sister gave you a long list of the names of the people who contested election in St. David's from the NNP side in the latter part of Gary days, and from the NDC side. And that is good, because children working up to 10 years, go to do common entrance, they must know the history of the community. These simple things, And you could give me a call. The number to call is 420-175. And if you call on Facebook, I will read some of your posts on Facebook. Good days like to listen to very knowledgeable. The basic thing we do is people have knowledge. What people need to do is to impart the knowledge you have for your children. We don't have to go to England or America or Canada or Russia or China to teach our children. Let us teach them what we know. And when the children go to school, they're at a higher level because they have a very good vocabulary. Could you imagine a 5-year-old know the name of a flower, bougainvillea? The pronunciation, the diction. But the child would be better able to be responsive in school. These little things going to raise the confidence of our children. What would happen if the people from Guave teach their children to swim? Because you see right there, the majority of the people of Guave are fishermen or fisher folk. They're in the sea on a regular basis. So if they are encouraged to teach their children to swim, they would have a better communication between the spouses, a better means of communicating with one another. More trust would be involved, and the children would, at the same time, would be learning a skill. And perhaps we might have the development of water sports in Guelph. And maybe in the next couple of years, we have some Olympic swimmers from Guelph. And this is simple things. Instead of we listening to people who making conflict and running down this country on a regular basis. And this Lenten season is a good time to start, because it's like you're making a sacrifice. You know, you're making sacrifice. You're doing penance. If you believe it is causing you trouble, treat it like penance. Take the time off and spend some time with your little children. Some of the big ones, you could only salvage. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yes, I could come back because I heard you talking about a tractor in River, I think River Road, some kind of a thing getaway. That's why you see when those tractors...
What happened to the tractor? The tractor get away?
Yeah, he get away and coming down the hill and he mash up all the cars on the side of the road.
Where that happened?
River Road.
Well, we don't get that one yet. Well, you going to... What these things...
One thing, let me tell you something, Are they in the center of the road, Because when you coming up the hill, you come up the hill, then you have to go around the hill. Especially when you hear a tractor coming up. Oh, God, that does vex me. And you hear the tractor coming up and a van there behind it. I say, lad, excuse me, sir, you're too stupid. I just call them stupid. Riding behind a tractor is wrong. Because you don't know if the tractor go get away, when he go get away. And they're coming up so close behind the tractor, that does get me annoyed. Does really get me up. I does really get up in tune.
You see, we have to have heavy equipment in the country.
Yes, we have heavy equipment in the country, but they have to know how they have to be careful when they drive it. Some of them, they don't test the thing before they start to drive. The company don't want, they don't testing it before it go out. And when the tractors and them, when the truck coming up with sun and thing, they coming up too full. And they have to cover the truck.
In Grenada, you're supposed to drive 100 feet behind a truck or a heavy-duty vehicle.
No, they don't do that.
Yes.
Right up behind them.
Yeah, you there? You're there? But look at the breaker. All right. You're supposed to drive 100 feet behind a heavy-duty vehicle in Grenada. A truck or a tractor, etc. That would give the driver behind enough time to take action. But you will have accidents. Accidents is part of development. And if you have a lot of construction work going on, there are a greater possibility that you would have accidents. That's why we have insurance for heavy-duty vehicle. The driver is supposed to be licensed, etc. So in life, we're going to have accidents. Sometimes it is a human error, and it has great consequences. So thank you for giving us that information that some accident took place, she say, in the River Road area. Yeah? You could give us a call. The number to call is 442-0175, and we speak about anything, and you can always introduce your own topic. We're still in the period. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
And how are you?
Great, man.
Okay. Mr. Pierre, last night I was listening to the television on WPG, I think that's the station, and I heard Mr. Kevin and Andrew from Carrico telling Calista Farrell that the government, the present government, do not like the people of Carrico and is doing nothing for the people of Carrico. Nothing is done to ease the condition of the airport and planes coming in. And nothing is done in the health center or the hospital in Carriacou. And I was taken back. For a man that intends to be a candidate, intended to be a parliamentarian, making that statement. When we just heard that the hospital in Carriacou is considered as one of the smart hospitals, caring hospital, we just heard that repairs was done to the hospital. We just heard that tank was put into the hospital. We just heard the roads leading to the hospital was done. And for a man who is in the front line of politics, making that statement, I think is not the best thing for frontline politics. I have nothing against the gentleman. I've met the gentleman once in person. But for you to make that statement, when the Minister of Tourism came out and said that they are holding talks with airlines to fix the situation of traveling, and they made it clear that it's because of the cost, not from the Grenada end, it's because of the cost. I heard a gentleman that responsible for the plane saying that he's trying to meet Grenada halfway because the cost to keep flying is very exorbitant. And for a man who is in frontline politics to telling the nation that, I don't think it holds well for frontline politics. Because all the ills in Carriacou presently is not because of government. Just recently, this is going on. Water, the last studying of water, where you're taking the water from the sea and purifying it for usage. They're asking people now to apply for pipe-borne water. And you watch a government like that and say that they're doing nothing?
Caller, you have to remember that you don't expect the opposition to say government do anything good. You don't expect the opposition to say that.
It's true, but to say nothing is being done when you have those things that is being done. So who is he speaking to? I agree that the opposition may not praise the government for what they're doing, but to say nothing is done. So could I say that Mr. Pierre was not on the air this afternoon, and Mr. Pierre said nothing? Could that make sense? If I say that, when you are on the air this afternoon, when you see what is happening, if you want to criticize what is done, no wrong, criticize what is done, but to say nothing is done, and that the government don't like the people, these are the words. It can be played back on WPG program. That's what concerns you. Not that you don't. That I don't expect. I expect the gentleman to speak in favor of the government, but don't say what didn't happen, and then expect to get the vote of people. Would you be able, or would the NDC party be able to correct all the realms of Grenada? We were promised the same desalinated water. We were promised the fix at the airport. The jetty, we was promised that by the NDC. We was promised that they would have local government in 90 days. Was it done? Was it done? Can he tell me that those things was done? And many more? So let's keep our campaign straight. And if NMP do it, I'll tell them the same thing.
Okay,
don't tell the nation that nothing has been done. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, it's a challenge in this party politics. Normally, the opposition members would not sing the government praise, and they don't have to. The government have to sing the praises for themselves. Both sides is appealing to the public and the government have to sing their own praises. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
As a concerned motorist in the Grenville area, sir, it is becoming very difficult for motorists doing business in Grenville where parking is concerned. A number of development is taking place in Grenville. We know that a ministerial complex is carded for Grenville just opposite what we have today, like a car park. I'm wondering because I'm not hearing that in the development process, in the construction of the ministerial building that they're going to put there, I'm not hearing of a car park to facilitate the motorists in Grenville because what we have now is extremely small. I think it is under zero. So many times you come to Grenville, especially on Saturdays, persons, they are renting out spaces to persons for vending, and it is very, very difficult for parking in Grenville. I would like to know if there is a plan to develop to extend that car park in Grenville, because the area is not deep. It is easy to reclaim some lands there for a car park in Grenville. It is becoming extremely difficult for us to come to Grenville with a vehicle and to get a park. So I would like the authorities to look into the parking facility in Grenville as we develop the town, and we expect more business with what the government intend to do, how they intend to develop that area. Car park is extremely important for us in St. Andrews who are motorists and who are doing business in Grenville. So this is one of the things that I would like to see take place in St. Andrews, the development, the expansion of a car park. Thank you.
Yes, scholar, thank you very much. Obviously, that is a challenge because over the last 10, 12 years, we have doubled the amount of vehicles that we have in Grenada. That means people have a lot of discretionary income. And everybody wants to park the vehicle right where they go in and make their message. Maybe in the development of a car park might take about 4 or 5 years. Maybe we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Welcome.
Yes, caller, welcome.
How are you?
Great, man.
Yeah,
You have a radio in the background?
Yes,
You have to cut it off first.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
right. You there?
Yeah, just cut off the radio in the back and go right there.
Yeah. But Mr. Pierre, lad, you mentioned all right about teaching the children, right? But Mr. Pierre, we had a revolution here in just about over 30 years ago, right? And nothing is being done to make sure that these things is being taught in school. The thing about it, listen, whether we like it or we don't like it, this is our history, right? And it cannot be erased. It will not be. It cannot be erased from our thing. The point about it is, it is our history, and our children have to know should know what exactly what happened because the point about it is, you want to tell me, okay, we will read about what happened in France, in Europe, in China, right? In all over the place, and things what happened right here, our children don't know it. And we as adults fail to teach it in our schools. Huh? This thing have nothing to do with whether we like it or we don't like it or who are against it.
One of the challenges of our history, particularly the revolution, nobody has written a book yet about the revolution that would attract some mutual acceptance.
Why?
I've not seen none of the individuals who wrote anything about the revolution. They have taken a partisan position. So
Exactly.
it is not something that people would advocate that we should use in the school. Even the raw facts, they have placed their opinion in it. And as a result of that, people going to object if you teach that.
Why? Listen, but at the end of the day, Mr. Pierre, it is our history and you cannot run from it.
Tell me what we need to do is to look around at the written materials about the revolution and see if anyone would be acceptable in school. Somebody individuals write books about the revolution. And when you look at it, you could see they leave out, there's some people would seriously object to teaching their children that. What we need to do is to have, they always say, when monkey write his story, monkey always write. So some people have to try to write something that will be accepted by the majority of people so they could accept it in school.
Because you know what, Mr. Pierre, what will happen? What will happen when we dead and gone, right? Somebody is going to come quite from China, quite from Yugoslavia, quite from France, and produce the revolution, the written, what has happened here in 1970, and teaching us what happened here, right? What happened in 1970, and we do have it written here, and how sad, just how sad this is going to be, right? So our history will be produced overseas, thousands and thousands of miles away, and it is not written here.
Then maybe...
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, how sad, eh?
Maybe...
No. Just how sad that is going to be, eh? No? Why? So, don't you foresee that?
Maybe that is why we have to start to encourage people to teach things that they could teach to the children. So the children start to have a history. I want to know the names of the villages in the parish. I want to know the names of the fish in the sea. I want to know...
I am saying... What is the same thing I am saying? Listen to me. What you saying and what I am saying here, it all coincide, It adds up, It adds up, Both of them coincide, Because because it is our history. Listen to me. This thing, what happened here in 1970, it wasn't imported from China or from Russia or from North Korea or from Cuba,
What we have to get some people. We have to get some written material that is acceptable, that could be introduced in the schools. That's what we need to get. People write, and some things that you write, it might be of acceptable manner, and then you could advocate. Why not try this book about the revolution in school?
Exactly. All right. I don't want to look at something. Our children in our school know all about Europe, all about China, all about France, all about Israel, all about we. But ask them what happened here in 1997. They don't know.
All right, thank you.
How backward this thing could ever be. No?
From time to time, I try to present some information that I believe is true and much people would not challenge. It's not that you can present more, but you try to present those that you believe people would challenge. I always believe that Maurice Bishop was a great orator. Maurice Bishop spoke well. Internationally, he was well accepted.
A lot.
The NIS, the international airport. We cannot deny the fact that 3,000 people went to prison for that too. And we have to say that. And this is why I say literature you see in a wrong, it is so one-sided and glaring that nobody wouldn't take it and put it in a school. But maybe if we start to have more discussion, more communication, then we could look at the benefits and the advantages and disadvantages.
Exactly, right? A lot of us just look at the next thing again, Mr. Pierre. Look our steel pan, right? This thing is, there's one thing we could boast and say, look, it is our thing in the Caribbean, right? That's one other thing we could boast. Up to now, and we fail to give this thing prominence. Right?
We have to talk about it.
Listen to me, and this thing is been introduced in virtually every country of the world, and we fail to give prominence in our country.
That is a very solid point, my brother. And
what we have failed miserably. We have failed ourselves. We have failed our children miserably, and we will have to pay for that. Thank you. Good.
Thank you very much. We have opportunity to take a last caller, a caller that will just punch. We're on the last few moments, and we can take another caller, and you can punch on any issue or a new issue. And the point the caller is making is correct. I don't like to say we fail miserable. There are much more things we could do. Remember what Eric Williams said. When the British give us independence, it was like an orange they suck dry. But they promised not to mash the skin. And all politicians in the Caribbean have tried significantly. Caller punch.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. I have a large audience listening. Your program is very, very, very powerful. And I want to call on the authority of Grenada to tune on the radio on that program. That is one of the best weekly program we have. And it comes from the north, which I am very happy. It comes from St. Patrick. St. Patrick always on the map. Mr. Pierre program, you is the host of the program. And people said they is getting information. They could punch as you start. They could ask you anything. If they want to know about agriculture, if they want to know about anything. So I want to make you know how far-reaching your program is and how big, how much important your program is to the nation.
Thank you very much, caller. Yes, caller, thank you very much. We're going to have to continue that. Caller, we're going to have to continue that conversation. The main objective of the program is to provoke discussion. We do not have answers, but we believe if we develop the habit of discussing issues as a collective, we could solve any problem in this country. We don't have to tear down Grenada. What we sit down and take every issue and discuss it. Whether you are NNP or NDC, you must be able to sit down and discuss the issue. You must put your points. Don't just say Grenada have bad health system. Tell us what about the health system that bad. Don't say they have not done nothing in the country because nobody would take it seriously. Tell us what you would like to see more. I think in that way, we could do much better. We could do much better with our children. Parents could help children much more. Teach them the things you know. You don't have to fight to go and get somebody from university to teach your child the names of the villages in the parish. If you're a fisherman, why not teach your child to blow the shell or to learn to swim? That alone could help to foster a better relationship in your home. And thank you for being with us today, and we're back with you tomorrow for another program of On Target.
Others came, some seeking advent. Through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your